want to go into the shipping aspect because they built this entire season on shipping, whether it was queer baiting Sauron and Celebrimbor, whether it was creating what I called out. I want your opinion on this. Ethically ambiguous Astrid. She was a self-insert for a fanfic.
Was
I
she?
I said that in Mortal Country last week. I said basically I look at it like this: she is a self-insert for one of the chick writers and the chick directors to put herself in there so she can effed by a Isildur. Like that's how I see
I
it.
mean, who's thirsting for Isildur though? That
Somebody,
beta male.
I don't know. So you had that, and then you have the weirdness of Elrond and just about everybody because they wanted to ship in everybody. Then you had they even tried the weirdos to ship Galadriel and Adar. And then, of course, there is the ultimate ship for these weirdos,
Mm-hmm.
the Sauron Galadriel I don't relationship.
Yeah. It's honestly one of the most disgusting ones that you mentioned. Like some of the other ones are just stupid, but this one goes against everything Tolkien ever would stand for. This is
Yeah.
worse, I think, than the gay shipping to Tolkien as a devout Catholic from
Mhm.
over 100 years ago. Obviously, the gay relationships he wouldn't be okay with because that's the time he lived in. But I feel like this relationship is far worse than all the gay ones.
Because on the one hand, she represents pure good. He represents pure evil.
And
And
no, it is not an opposites attract type
oh, yeah,
situation.
no.
Just because they're on opposite ends of this goodness and evil spectrum, or at least they should be. Galadriel in the show is absolutely not a light person or a good person. She does more evil than Sauron does up until the end of season 2. But that
Yeah.
doesn't mean that they're perfect for each other to make a balance. This whole, just like what you deal with in the Star Wars fandom all the time. Oh,
Mhm.
balance in the Force means 2 Sith, 2 Jedi, and that's true balance or whatever. It's not how this stuff works.
Mhm.
And Tolkien in these franchise, if it's a different franchise, of course it follows different rules, but in Tolkien's especially, it's never going to be a situation where light and dark need to coexist like that.
Especially in Tolkien. In Tolkien, there should be no shadow. There balance or the right of everything is there is no evil. Evil has been beaten soundly. That is the idea of Tolkien's perfect reality.
I
So
mean, why else would they go to the Undying Lands where that's the way it works?
yeah. I
If
mean, it's
that's the
not
ultimate paradise,
yeah.
that's the goal
Mhm.
in this
Mhm.
universe. That is the goal for all these characters is to get to the Undying Lands in their afterlife or whatever, or create a world like that. It's
Yeah,
not, oh, we need shades of gray.
it's
Tolkien's
not like
universe is not a shades of gray.
a universe that I'm creating where I believe in the harmony of balance, where
Mhm.
there has to be
Oh,
good and
what I
evil.
write, it's the same way. I do
Where
like that harmony balance.
and I literally call it that, the harmony of balance, where you can actually if certain individuals can actually hear it in the universe and they know when something's off when it shifts. I'm of the belief that one cannot exist without the other.
Mhm,
But in Tolkien's world, no, good needs to be ultimate triumph. And
mhm.
that's the lore, that's the foundation he plays
Absolutely.
with. So when you take and not to mention too, you mentioned it. It doesn't work with these characters because guess what? She's married. Galadriel is married to Celeborn, who we still haven't seen.
I still think he's Adar. You know, the
No.
whole I had a name that didn't that
Mhm.
doesn't matter anymore.
But then he's
I
dead.
need to earn it back.
But then
I
he's
think it
dead.
could still be Celeborn, and I think he could come back.
He got Caesared pretty good there, man.
I mean, so did Sauron. Death
Yeah, but
means nothing
Sauron's a
in this
demigod.
show.
Sauron's a demigod, and you
It's
just have
true,
to
but
comport.
what does death mean to this show? What does good writing? If this were a good show,
Mm.
yes, he would be dead. But they're gonna pull off some like, oh yeah, Gandalf came back from the dead because God wanted him to.
He's
So
already an
God,
angel.
I
He
know,
was,
but they're gonna pull an argument like that. Like I am not surprised if halfway through season 3 they're just like, Adar's here, his name's Celeborn, and yeah, Iluvatar wanted him back, so he's back, just like Gandalf. Remember Gandalf? Remember Gandalf the White? And that's when he gets his blonde hair.
all I know is that it's ridiculous though to ship Galadriel with anybody when canonically Tolkien had her married with a child at this point who is without a I don't have another term for it, so I'll just use a common term. She's already dating Elrond. She's already dating Elrond.
She should be.
Yeah. So to have these guys go right here, the Rings of Power, Charlotte Brandstrom talks Galadriel being in love with Halbrand in the final episode. So let's read through this. In celebration of the final episodes of Rings of Power Season 2, Nerdist sat down with director of the season finale episodes, Charlotte Brandstrom. Brandstrom spoke to us about what it's like to direct epic battles, how to inject character into long fight sequences and motivations and fates of some of our favorite Middle-earth figures. She also mentioned that Galadriel was in love with Halbrand. That might make some of you very happy. Okay, you're laughing while I was reading that. Fight scenes.
That's very laughable.
Those weren't fight scenes. Those are people swinging and spinning and all kinds of ridiculous bullshit that was going on.
I had the immense privilege this last week of rewatching the Lord of the Rings Extended Edition trilogy. And of course, you have the battles of Helm's Deep and even the Battle of Pelennor Field and whatnot, but Helm's Deep especially, where you see such logic and care going into these tactics and formations making sense and people operating within just clear rules that make sense. Like, even if you've never been in combat before or have studied combat or anything, you can look at, the Uruk-hai using shields all around the battering ram. And you're like, oh, that's actually a really good idea because there's archers coming. Like, it's presented in such a way that even someone who has no idea how military tactics of medieval eras worked and go, that makes sense. That's really smart. But these people, they couldn't even do that little bit. Watch that battle at Helm's Deep and go, yeah, maybe arrows can shoot people from a distance, and maybe elves would have more than 4 archers on a wall. Even these basic, obvious things are beyond their grasp to even comprehend. So yeah, long fight sequences, epic battles. I've seen more epic battles too 30 years ago on, I don't know, TV.
You were absolutely right too. The Siege of Eregion was over in one episode. And the sacking in the final episode lasted 30 minutes.
Yeah, it was sacking. The siege was over. So yeah, it's not a 2-episode battle.
You nailed it, dude. You absolutely nailed it when you said, yeah, there's going to be no fight over multiple episodes. It's one episode. And even what we got was ridiculous. So this is stupid. And to talk about the motivations and fates of some of our favorite Middle-earth figures, we all know the motivations and the fates of all of them. And each one of those major characters, they have beginnings, middles, and actual endings.
Well, they have you know why armor. They said this? Finding out what happens to these characters, because I don't think the writers or the stands that this show is made for, the shippers, have any idea where these stories actually end. So they are actually figuring this out for the first time. Because I would not be surprised if it was after season 1 that someone came to some of the writers and like, Isildur, he has to live, right? And they're like, wait, really? Yeah, he cuts the ring off Sauron's hand at the Battle of the Last Alliance. There's a Battle of the Last Alliance?
Yeah, you realize
Sauron's defeated? Like, I would not be surprised if that exact conversation happened in the writer's room.
Fool of a took.
When bonded characters reunite after separation, it's always intense. Doubly so if it's Galadriel and Sauron. Can you talk a bit about crafting their sword fight reunion and what you wanted them each to bring the moment? First of all, bonded. I mean, here's the thing. I've seen this being said around in the stand circles. They consider this canon.
They do. They don't care about canon. The show's all that matters.
That's usually it. They don't care about actual lore. They care about they care about what they see. This is one of those few times where a visual media is not the top tier of the canon. Tolkien's writings, everything he put to pen and paper, that's the top tier canon. And everything below that is an adaptation and not true.
For Tolkien specifically, I would add in a 1A and 1B type situation because a lot of people go to his letters as a source of canon. I do consider a lot of those legitimate, but if they contradict the books come first. So kind of what's published and then what he says in letters, and then adaptations are their own thing.
Yeah, because the letters, even though he tried to expand on ideas, those changes were never put into the later editions. Yeah, these two are very magnificent actors. You're already full of shit. Charlie Vickers and Morfydd Clark are abysmal.
Do either of them know what facial expressions are? Because Anatar's had the same face all season, except for when he's crying or coming, because we've seen his cum face a few times. And Galadriel's just
either resting bitch face or angry bitch face.
Yeah, that's not a whole lot of range.
Yeah, I was so happy I got one more for my final thumbnail.
What's her loving face? Is that just constipation when she looks at Halbrand and
That's the horse face.
That's the horse face. So we've got 3 faces from her.
Yeah. They tried to put her in a relationship with a guy who she would never be in a relationship with, or 2, that guy, Sauron, is not looking to get a booty call on Saturday night. He's looking to control everything.
Do you remember that line from Fellowship of the Ring between Gandalf and Sauron on the top of Isengard right before the eagle showed up? He said, he does not share power. Sauron will not share power with Saruman. He will use him to his own ends, of course, and be a foe ally for as long as it's beneficial to him. But the moment Saruman loses his usefulness, he's dead. So why would having a queen be anything that he was looking for? He doesn't want to share power with anyone. He wants to accumulate it and rule the earth.
Yeah, because
having a queen is antithetical to his motives.
Because there was never any good in him. He willingly, in this show, remember, they painted the idea, Sauron, he was made this way by Morgoth. No, he chose to follow Morgoth. And then when Morgoth fell, he repented in name only and then ran away and hid until he could consolidate his power and launch an assault on Middle-earth, all his own as the new Dark Lord. There is no man who wanted to do good but events turned him evil. That doesn't exist. Sauron is Sauron. He's not some poor broken guy who just had a bad string of luck and ended up this way. And having him paired with Galadriel as Halbrand or anything, it wasn't done to tell a story. It was done to push it to weirdo shippers. Seeing Halbrand really affected Galadriel. What were her feelings for him? Here it is. Yeah, Galadriel obviously was in love with Halbrand. Jet,
how long did they know each other? In universe time, a week or 2?
A week, maybe 2.
Because they teleported everywhere. They went.
Yeah. So we talked about this last season. We wanted them to F. We know they purposefully created sexual tension in the show. But it shouldn't go anywhere. I mean, we wanted to do for cringe factor. We wanted to cringe factor. But in reality,
I'm really disappointed they didn't fuck on the battlefield.
Yeah, we didn't get the kiss. We didn't. They said there was going to be a kiss. There was no kiss, and we wanted it for cringe factor, and the stands wanted it because that would have, fed their fantasies of all this bullshit that keeps them locked into the weirdness that they perpetuate. But to have him say to say that she was in love with Halbrand. 1, there never was a Halbrand. That's not one of the many names of Sauron. And 2, she wouldn't be because she had a husband.
She was very loyal as a person. She wouldn't be going around falling in love with other men.
Yeah, but they had, and that's the point I wanted to bring this up. Essentially, with the fact that when you purposefully are writing these characters to be essentially CW romance drama bullshit, soap opera drama bullshit, your show is going to fail because you've abandoned the core tenets. You are not adhering to Tolkien's design. Tolkien, who believed in monogamy and a happily married husband and wife, who believes in true love. A lot of aspects of the stuff is true love, whether it's for your home or another individual. Because let's be honest, the hobbits, they really just truly love the Shire. That's kind of the thing. They have a deep abiding love for the Shire. Something in weed, but they are they're but with to use the movies as an example, which is I know is not as heavily played on the books, Aragorn and Arwen. There's that's true love. I mean, so that's the stuff that he plays into, not, we're giving you a cheap thing that she loves the bad boy. And also at the same time that it plays into this weirdo common thing they're doing these days, abuse is romance.
Oh, God. I feel bad for the women who are attracted to these men to this point where that's what they look for. Like, it's honestly sad that you're thinking this is what romance looks like. Abuse is not love.
No. Let me finish reading this, and I want to say one more part to it. Sauron knows this because he gets in her head, so he knows what she's thinking, what she's feeling. So when he immediately takes Halbrand's shape, he completely destabilizes her because that was her weakness. She had a very strong feelings for the king, for Halbrand, obviously the first season. Not so obvious, though. It wasn't so obvious the first season. It was tension in the air, but the one moment you think they were going to do is when they're sitting on the log at the end of the final episode or penultimate episode, and we thought there was going to be a moment, and we were going, yeah, but it was because we wanted it to be retarded, not because we wanted it to actually willingly break the lore. Because that for us, that would have been the capper on the lore breaks. Is the thing. It wouldn't have been the actual fulfillment of our weird fantasies, because you see this, and I'll expand it to the rest of the shipping problems now. You see this as soon as they made. Let's be honest, the dude they cast as Adar was better looking than the dude in the first season. It's a better looking dude. And they turned him into a thirst trap. And all the weirdo shippers started doing fan art of him and Galadriel being together. Yeah. They started doing that.
It's so gross. And I know why they did it, partially because they had the opportunity with the recast, but Adar was one of the only characters that the general population liked, at least more so than anybody else. Adar was the one that had the most positive reception to him as a character, besides Big Tits McGee, of course. And so they wanted to capitalize on that, because in their minds, oh, you like this character? That means you want to fuck them. That is the only way that their brains work.
Yeah.
So you like Adar? Oh, you want us to make him more sexual? Okay, we can do that.
And that's all they do, because they do it with that. Then they do it with Celebrimbor and Sauron. That the entire season was a queer bait for those two. The entire season. It's all they wanted to do, have them F, all the fan of this net. And even Elrond and Galadriel, when they had the weird kiss in episode 7, the weird ass kiss where we all were, why are you doing this? There were other ways. No, you did it to feed into the shipping culture. And we talked about it, Isildur and ethically ambiguous Astrid, even Elrond and Durin the Fourth. We were making jokes about that this last season. All they care about is making all these characters F each other, because that's all the audience they're aiming for this once. They just want weird sex. They don't want real character development, because to these people, the only character development is shipping, which means sex. That's how deep they go with characters. They don't understand that there needs to be motivations. There needs to be slow walking, why they do something, challenges to their belief system, stuff like that. None of that happens here. At least they try to, and it's all surface level, and it doesn't really get a proper explanation ever.
Well, with all of that, they don't seem to understand the different types of love, because what you're saying is absolutely right. They just want to have sex. That's all that they understand about love. But there's those great friendships in Lord of the Rings, like Frodo and Sam. They sexualize that, saying, oh, it's secretly gay. No, it's just a great friendship. In the books, it was, of course, different, more master and servant relationship. But there's so many great examples of friendship, of love of people, love of country. Love is a important part of Tolkien, but not just Arwen and Aragorn types. And they just physically cannot understand that. Love means sex. That is all that it means.
Love
to them,
means
which
sex.
is, it's not degenerate necessarily. It's just sad. If that's
for them,
all
it's degenerate, though. It's degenerate for them, because to them, as I brought up, abuse is a part of it.
That's
because when we were going over the epic one-on-one combat between Sauron and Galadriel at the end of the season, there were people out there that said that was a metaphor for them having sex.
I'm not surprised.
That when he stabs her with the crown, they were all touching themselves over that.
Oh, that's penetration,
yeah.
But every scene from Lord of the Rings, they've made sexual if it's between friends. Like Boromir dying and Aragorn kissing him on the head, they're all like, oh yeah, they secretly boned on the way here.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. So either way, one of the reasons this show failed was because they tried to ship everything for people who, as Jed and I just clearly explained to you, who think everything in a relationship is just about sex, and that love can only mean sex, not friendship, not patriotism, not even just love, a general compassion, which is kind of what Gandalf has for everything, a general compassion. Anyway, so there we go. That's that. That's one of the reasons, for one of the chief reasons this show has failed. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, check out my gaming channel at Renaissance Nerd Arcade, and follow me on X Twitter under @TheRedNerd. Thanks again for watching. Take it easy.